I'm Dr. Rasa Mikelyte and I'm one of the researchers on the National Evaluation of Hospice at Home Services, the OPAL study. I'm also a care worker. This video is part of a series of videos summarizing our findings and showing how they may be relevant to service providers, commissioners, patients and their informal carers. This video focuses on the knowledge, skills and ethos of care providers. Our research has confirmed unequivocally how highly patients and carers value hospice at home expertise in death and dying. In addition to this, palliative and end-of-life care has developed into a specialty area of knowledge, and our research has shown that hospice at home services themselves prize their specialist status. The benefits and drawbacks of such specialist status have been debated for some time. Regardless of how you feel about palliative care as a specialism, our research has shown that hospice at home staff are different from other health and care providers in the following ways. Firstly, it's about expertise. Hospice at home staff spend a significant proportion of their time in palliative and end-of-life care. This means staff are capable and competent working with people nearing death as well as their families. Crucially, they are also perceived as capable, competent and experienced by patients, their carers and by other health and social care professionals. This is important for developing trust, which in turn ensures better patient and carer experiences. Patients and carers who feel well supported and advised by hospice at home also tend to develop a sense of agency and ability to do more as well as advocate more for themselves. The second area of difference is that of a sense of time. Both informal carers and operational hospice at home staff themselves have stressed to us the importance of taking time to offer personalized, patient-led care and not having to rush. This was often compared to time-limited visits of other providers. Hospice at home staff do, of course, experience time pressures. They can neither visit for an unlimited length of time, nor are free of delays when juggling large caseloads. Even when time is limited, providing support at the pace of the patient and carer, as well as sensitive communication, is what makes a difference. A sense of time is, in fact, such a valued resource that patients and carers are prepared to compromise in some respects. So long as care is delivered by hospice at home rather than another service, patients and carers are okay not knowing the timing of the visits until the morning of that day, and sometimes even not having a visit at all when hospice at home demand increases. All in the knowledge that in a case of crisis, they would get the time and the skills they need. Of course, to some extent, hospice at home services have more control over their workload and can choose how time is allocated. Nevertheless, giving patients a sense of time, even when time is limited, can still be achieved with good knowledge of palliative care and high-level communication skills, something that all health and social care services could aim to adopt. Having discussed what makes hospice at home services distinct from other health and social care providers in terms of their knowledge, skills and ethos, I'd like to focus next on how this can be achieved. We found the training and support provided by the wider organization to be paramount. It's hardly surprising that training is important, and of course some expertise is gained by osmosis, that is, developed on the job. Some of it also depends on organizational setup. For example, how well patient-led care can be delivered depends on organizational ethos and how service delivery is set up. However, staff will still require training and investment in continuing professional development in order to ensure that patients and carers feel they are in expert hands. It is also worth mentioning that training should not be limited to practical skills. Appropriate communication skills, for example, are highly praised by patients, carers, hospice at home staff themselves, and by other health and social care professionals. Training, however, is rarely sufficient on its own. Providing hospice at home staff with advice and support is also really important. Staff will need support to manage stress and develop emotional resilience. In practical terms, it's important that support for operational staff, including those at the most junior roles, is available routinely and easy to access. If staff can call senior colleagues for advice, and if organizational policies and processes allow for extended roles with more flexibility and more responsibility, not only will staff feel supported to do their job, but this will also upskill the workforce. Now, if you're a commissioner, you may agree about the importance of skills and ethos and knowledge of the workforce, but you may be concerned at the higher cost of such a service. If you are concerned about costs, it is worth taking into account that in our study, 73% of patients referred to hospice at home services achieved their preferred place of death, that being home, and only 9% died in hospital. This also matters for wider health and social care services. Not only is hospice at home expertise in death and dying important, but so is that of the whole health and social care system. It is, after all, very rare that a patient would only receive input from hospice at home when nearing death. In relation to this, we found that many hospice at home services have invested in their clinical staff, raising awareness of palliative care and providing training to colleagues across different services. As I've already covered, hospice at home staff tend to be highly skilled and knowledgeable. Our research did, however, find some areas where knowledge and skills could be strengthened. In particular, this applied to non-cancer patients, for example, those dying with or from dementia. To sum up, the skills, knowledge and ethos that characterize hospice at home staff are highly valued by patients and carers, and also by colleagues. To optimize outcomes, it is important for provider organizations to invest in, maintain and strengthen staff expertise, and to facilitate patient-led care. Thank you for watching this video, which we hope you have found useful. There are 5 other videos in this series, all based on the findings of a national evaluation of hospice at home services in England. You may like to consider watching these too.